Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and it's movie review time once again. This time it's Ad Astra, the 2019 science fiction adventure film starring Brad Pitt. It was produced, co-written and directed by James Gray. And you have Tommy Lee Jones, Ruth Negga, Liv Tyler and Donald Sutherland who form an exemplary supporting cast. Now since 2013-2014 we've had several big budget Hollywood movies that have tried to depict space travel as realistic as it can be possible, and this movie is also set particularly in that direction. In fact, Gray actually said that he wanted to have this movie showing the most realistic depiction of space travel that's ever been in any kind of movie. Now, I'm no expert, but probably he's close. I don't know. I can't say that for sure. Let NASA tell us that. Anyhow, the movie basically is, you have the lead character, Major Roy McBride, who is almost killed in an incident when there's a, excuse me, a mysterious power surge hits the space station where I think it's the ISS if I'm not mistaken, where he's working on with some other members of his crew, and several of them are killed. However, he's able to survive. Once he recovers, he is called in by his superiors at the USS Space Command. Space Corp is what they call it. And they have traced the surges of the energy power surges to the Lima project. The Lima project was created almost 30 years ago, and it was headed by Roy's father, Clifford. And 16 years ago, they reached Neptune and have never been heard of since then. So they say that they believe Clifford is still alive, and they want Roy to go and be part of the mission to travel up to Mars, try and establish communications with him, and see if he or any of his crew members are responsible for these surges, and if so, to tell them to put a stop to it. So on the mission to Mars, he's actually joined by his father's old associate, Colonel Pruitt, played by Donald Sutherland. And Roy is chosen because he shows very little emotional attachment to anything. So even if the fact that his father may be alive, they think that he can still do the job. So they take a commercial flight to the moon. I love that part, by the way. It's almost like a really expensive Concorde or really high-end kind of plane ride. And they have some US military personnel take them from the moon base to the Spacecom base. And there is a war zone over there with, I don't really know who they are, but they're some kind of scavenging pirates. And they're attacked, and almost everybody is killed. Pruitt is injured. Roy is able to take them to safety. And he helps Pruitt go to intensive care. Pruitt tells him to please go and find his father, and he transfers on to another ship that's headed to Mars. On their way, the captain receives a distress signal from a Norwegian biomedical research space station. The two of them, Roy and the captain, his name is Captain Tanner, they actually enter the space station and they split up. And then they find that Roy finds that there is a escaped baboon test subject or something like that, who's gone feral, and he's attacked Tanner and he's feeding on him. He's been killed. It attacks Roy as well, but he managed to escape along with the body of Captain Tanner. Takes him back to the spaceship, and the crew have a brief service, and then the body is ejected into space. In a psychological evaluation, which the astronauts are supposed to take from time to time, he admits that he experiences rage, which he connects with something similar that his father used to have. However, he does not really show that any reaction towards the rest of the crew. There's another power surge that hits the spaceship as it lands on Mars, and Roy is able to take control because the interim captain freezes, and he goes there and he meets at the base camp. He meets the director Helen, who tells him that her father was part of Clifford's crew, and he probably is responsible for the death of her father and her mother as well, who were part of the crew. And this shakes him a little bit. They put him into a into a room, and they try to contact his father, and finally there is some response back. So the ship that he had come on is planning to go and confront them. However, Roy is not supposed to be involved. However, he, with the help of Helen, he sneaks into the ship, and there is an altercation between the others, and unfortunately they are killed, and Roy is the only one who's actually still alive. So with the entire crew being killed, he needs to take the ship on a solo mission. He reaches there and he reaches up to Neptune, and while this is happening, he thinks about his relationship with his father and his estranged wife, played by Liv Tyler, who doesn't have any speaking lines in this role in this movie at all. After a couple of months, he finally arrives at the Lemur project, and he takes the shuttle onto the station, finds that it's kind of damaged, with a lot of debris and stuff that comes in from Neptune's ring. He enters the spaceship and finds his father and all the other crew members are dead. So basically what's been happening, the surges are coming from the ship's malfunctioning antimatter source, which has been damaged because the crew tried to mutiny against Clifford, and he let all of them die. He basically doesn't care about anybody. He confesses to Roy that he doesn't even care about him, his own son, or the rest of his family, and he doesn't consider Earth to be home. He just focused on his work and his project. Roy is able to get all data regarding the project and the reason for the surges, and he asks Clifford to come back with him to Earth. He arms a nuclear payload to destroy the station so that the surges are stopped. However, Clifford decides to kill himself. He doesn't want to continue. He doesn't want to go on back to Earth. So he pleads to Roy to make sure that his son lets him go, and he drifts off into space, presumably to die immediately or maybe a little later. Roy is able to rescue himself, put him back into the spaceship, and he lets the shockwave of the nuclear explosion propel him enough to get the required speed and get himself back to Earth. So the data from the base basically tries to say that humans are the only intelligent life in the galaxy. Something that did not really sit well with me, but we'll let that go for now. Having gone through the material, Roy decides that he needs to really connect better with humans, and especially with those who are closer to him. So he returns home to the Earth with more hope and some more optimism, and he tries to reconnect himself with his wife after undergoing a psychological evaluation. What did I think of the movie? I loved all the space stuff. I don't really get some of the other aspects of this movie. Movie-wise, it's not bad, but at the end of it, it kind of seems a little negative, even though Roy himself gets something positive out of this. I don't know, I'm not really sure I actually like the story that much, but I did like a lot of aspects of the movie. Like the space, all the special effects that they put into it. I liked Brad Pitt's acting. I couldn't say much for everybody else. You have several other actors, a couple of other actors who I actually recognized and was happy to see them. Lisa Gay Hamilton, who used to be on The Practice, and Greg Burke, who's been on several science fiction shows that I've seen over the years. And you've got Natasha Lyonne as well. So all in all, I think it's a solid 7.5 out of 10. Loved the visuals. Didn't like the story that much, and I found that it felt a little flat to me because it doesn't inspire. It doesn't really hold my attention too much. I'm like, what's the point of it in the end if this is the story that you're going for? Anyway, 7.5 isn't bad. Once again, the main part of the movie for me is Brad Pitt's acting as well as the visual effects. So thank you very much, guys. I'll catch you again pretty soon. Good night.